Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to Grab 50 Media for more tales that will haunt your nights and linger in your mind long after they end. Tonight, we tell the story of a young boy, brave, cunning, destined for something far darker than he ever imagined. A cursed legacy, a relentless evil, and a choice that will change everything. Some say, deep in the forest, the shadows still whisper his name. Now, we embark on our journey. Onibaba, Bloodline Revenge. Chapter 1. Takeyoshi was once known throughout Japan as a warrior without equal. Stories were told of him slaying bandits who preyed on villages, of standing alone against raiding parties while the rest of his men lay dying. In the mountains of Haida, they whispered about how he had faced a demon said to swallow men whole, and walked away with its teeth strung around his neck. Men respected Takeyoshi, women admired him, children idolized him, but every story, no matter how glorious, had its shadow, and Takeyoshi's was darker than most. After years at war, he returned home. His body was broken and tired, but his heart was light. He could finally rest. He could finally see his wife again, and his newborn son, Oh-Shua. But something was wrong. Even before he stepped through the door of his quiet home, he knew. It was too still, too dark. The lamps hadn't been lit for days. The scent of blood hung in the air, faint but unmistakable. Inside, he found only silence, until he saw it. The faintest shadow slipping out the back door, a shape too large, too twisted to be human. Its eyes burned in the dark for a moment before it vanished into the forest. Takeyoshi's heart froze in his chest. He searched the house. He found his wife's body first, her lifeless form, laid out as if someone had mocked a funeral rite, but her eyes had been stolen, and something had gnawed at her hands. His son was nowhere to be seen. But as Takeyoshi sat in that cold silence, he heard something. A faint cry. He tore up the floorboards, and there, hidden beneath them, was Oh-Shua, barely a baby, swaddled and shivering. Takeyoshi held his son close and left his house that same night. He found the village elder who told him the truth. Onibaba had a son, Kurakan. While the men were away at war, Kurakan had come to the town. He had hunted them like animals, stealing children, devouring women, leaving bloodless corpses dangling from the trees. No one had been able to stop him, until Takeyoshi returned. That night, without rest, Takeyoshi hunted Kurakan into the mountains. By dawn, he came back with the demon's head tied to his belt, but he wasn't in time to save his wife. And Onibaba, she had not forgiven him. Oh-Shua grew strong, stronger than most boys his age, but his strength came at a cost. Takeyoshi was relentless. He trained his son every day from dawn until dusk. Sword forms, tracking, hand-to-hand combat, and meditation. There was no room for weakness, no time for play. At 10 years old, Oh-Shua could already hold his own against grown men, and though his body often ached, his mind stayed sharp. He inherited his father's cunning, his focus, his will, but there was always something unspoken between them, a shadow Takeyoshi never explained, and though Oh-Shua asked, his father never answered why he was being prepared like this. Still, Oh-Shua learned, and then, the dream started. An old woman in a tattered kimono, standing at the edge of a misty forest, calling to him in a voice like cracked stone. "Grandson," she said, "come to me." But Oh-Shua wasn't fooled. He knew his grandmother was long dead, and he knew this voice belonged to something else, something hungry. One winter, Takeyoshi fell ill, bedridden, weak in a way Oh-Shua had never seen, and that was when the letters came. Small scrolls wrapped in damp black cloth, written in a hand that seemed carved into the page rather than inked, always addressed to my dearest grandson, and always filled with words twisted to seem kind, but laced with threats hidden between them. What Takeyoshi never told Oh-Shua was that he had been receiving these letters for years. Onibaba had found them every time they moved, no matter how far they traveled, no matter how well they hid, and so, Takeyoshi buried the letters under the floorboards of his forbidden room, hoping Oh-Shua would never find them. But he did. One day, playing where he wasn't supposed to, Oh-Shua broke a loose board and found the letters. They reeked, a smell like damp earth and rotting flesh, and when he looked closer, he saw why. Each letter bore a signature, made from something wet and dark. A piece of his mother's corpse, her bones shaved thin and inked in blood. Onibaba had dug up her grave to sign them, and the letter he found was dated earlier that week. That night, as Oh-Shua lay awake, he saw a figure outside the house, a shadow moving slowly toward the forest, its white hair trailing behind it like smoke. In its hand, it left another letter, pinned to the door with a claw. This time it wasn't a trick. The message was clear. You have 1 week to come out, or I will come in. Takayoshi lay sick, unable to rise from his bed, and Onibaba could smell it. She knew his power was fading. The next night, the rain came heavy, softening the ground, making the earth pliable, and Onibaba returned, clawing at the walls of their home, her voice scraping like steel. Grandson, tomorrow I come inside. Oh-Shua made his decision. He left that night, sword on his hip. Wrapped in his father's old cloak, he followed her trail. Deep, clawed footprints pressed into the soft mud, and they led him to a place the villagers had spoken of only in fear, a house left to rot long ago. But Onibaba had made it her nest. The walls sagged inward. Vines grew thick over its surface, feeding on blood that had soaked the wood beneath. Inside, it was cold, and death hung thick in the air. Oh-Shua crept through the halls. He found slaughtered bodies, strung up like puppets, faces cut away, replaced by bags stitched with grotesque smiles. He found rooms where vines burst through the floors, pulsing faintly, as if alive. And then, he found her, his mother, or what was left of her, propped up in a corner, her hands folded neatly in her lap, dressed in the ruined remnants of her kimono. Her face was sunken, her lips shriveled back, but there was something gentle in the way she had been posed, as if mocking reverence. Oh, Shua knelt before her. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'll finish this. That's when he felt the breath on his neck, and the voice that slid down his spine. Grandson, you've come to visit. Onibaba was faster than he imagined. She darted through the shadows, crawling across the walls, slipping between cracks in the wood. Her voice taunted him constantly. You smell of him, she hissed. Takayoshi. But he's dying now, and you are all alone. Oh-Shua hid. He watched her movements, and he waited. You are just a boy, she snarled. A boy I will hollow out and wear. But Oh-Shua didn't run. He taunted her back. You speak of my father, but you forget who killed your son. He smiled, sharp and cold. Kurakan screamed when my father cut him down. That broke her. Onibaba screamed, a sound that cracked the walls, and lunged. He led her into trap after trap, weighted nets, falling beams, a pit of sharpened bamboo stakes. She climbed out of the pit, broken and bleeding, but still she came, and now she was slower, and angry. Oh-Shua drew his father's blade. It whispered as it left the sheath. You are nothing, Onibaba spat. I am Takayoshi's son, Oh-Shua said, and he charged. The final clash was brutal. Onibaba swung with claws like sickles, teeth snapping for his throat. Oh-Shua ducked, slid under her strike, and drove his sword clean through her side. She howled, tried to claw him open, but he rolled free, and struck again. This time, higher, opening her neck. Blood sprayed hot and black. Her hands clutched at the wound, but Oh-Shua was already moving. With one final step, he leapt forward and cut clean through her neck. Her head hit the ground, her body followed, and it was over. Oh-Shua carried his mother home. He buried her under the old cherry tree, and when he was done, he returned to the house. Takayoshi was still breathing, but Oh-Shua knew this wasn't the end. He lifted the floorboards where the old sack lay. Kurokan's head, still grinning, stared back. Oh-Shua placed Onibaba's head beside it. 2 demons slain, and a family's vengeance complete, for now. But Oh-Shua knew there would be others, and he was ready. And so, the tale of Oh-Shua and Onibaba reaches its chilling end. But some say the echoes of their battle still haunt the forest to this day. Thank you for joining us on this dark and twisted journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Grab 50 Media for more eerie folklore and haunting legends. What do you think truly became of Oh-Shua after this night? Let us know in the comments below. And remember, some stories never die, they just wait in the shadows. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and we'll see you in the next tale.